Microdose, yeah. Microdose, 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 dose. Microdose, microdose, dose.
And in
Microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, coming to you episode 64 of the Microdose. Microdose 64. It's your favorite video game icon. Coming up with us right now, our main man, Kai. How you doing tonight, Kai? What's good?
Doing great here. Glad to be here, sitting in another. We're capping this Oscars pod off.
The aftermath is real. The fallout is still coming down. It's hard to see you where we are. It's not my SD camera. It is the buildings that have collapsed under the weight of the results from the Oscar. We only spoke to him about 3 weeks ago, but he helped us predict some winners. He's back to talk to us about it. He's the funniest man in the room. He's with the Movie Minds podcast on Angelcake Entertainment on YouTube. He recaps the MTV show, The Challenge.
Woo!
Drew Angelman. How you doing, dude? What's good?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. Getting ready to talk about prestigious movies and some that, I guess that's subjective. I mean, the Oscars want to make it objective, but I think it's subjective if these are actually prestigious movies. But I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Drew, would it shock you to learn that both Kush and I managed the day before to see all of the Best Picture nominees?
Wow!
That's
Congratulations!
The first year that's ever happened for me. Yeah,
me too. I've never done it before. I've never once done that before. But in this age of ease of home viewing, I was able to maneuver my way through this whole list.
Yeah. My gift was my curse ultimately, because while I only focused on the best pictures for this year, when it came to stuff like best and supporting actors and actresses, I was like, well, wait, that's not a best picture. What? I didn't see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. What? I didn't see this foreign film. One Night in Miami. Leslie Odom, is that a basketball player? I don't know what's happening here. Here's what's going on. Out of the full Oscars, I ranked 7 out of 23. And when it comes to the big 6 that we're talking tonight, only 2 out of the 6 I actually picked correctly here. Guys, how did your picks go? And don't say anything yet. Just toss me numbers if you have them.
I did pretty poorly. However, me and my wife picked major categories, and she went 6 for 8 in picks, wow. Which is pretty good.
Drew, how did you rank this year?
Well, I used to do those like picking specifics, but I don't do well at them. So I kind of just like shield myself away from them. Instead, me and the guys at Movie Minds, we actually do this like Oscar draft pool where we go and pick actual movies. We pick the movies and then we get points for every time they're nominated, either at the Golden Globes, the Oscars, or the Razzies. Okay. And then if they win, you get extra points.
So your movie might not even get nominated this year if in this situation.
Exactly. We kind of, we went a little bit later this year because we did it after the Golden Globes. Okay. So, or like the nominees were already out. So we kind of had a little bit ideas, but like I picked Nomadland. I was the first one to pick. So I got Nomadland, Sound of Metal, News of the World, Another Round as my Oscar picks. Okay. Luckily, most of those landed. And then I picked Doolittle, Fantasy Island, Mulan, and New Mutants for the Razzies. So,
Razzie's completely off my radar this year.
Those
are lots of fun. Drew, last time you were here, you had seen everything but The Father and Minari. Did that get resolved?
I'm sad to say they did not. I meant to go watch them. I instead watched Nobody and a whole bunch of BoJack Horseman instead. So
there you go. It's a good move.
I would like to see the Nobody. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Way thumbs up. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
Kai and myself hadn't seen anything last time you were here. In fact, Kai had only seen Mank, Judas and the Black Messiah, and Nomadland, whereas I had also seen Mank and Judas, but The Sound of Music at this time. And of those 3, I was only thinking I was thinking Mank was going to get it because it was literally daring people like, I dare you not to give me this trophy. You, Kai, you had actually said Nomadland, I believe. It's hard. You go back, you go forth. But I gave you the Nomadland pick and said congratulations. Drew, I want to say your favorite movie, not necessarily your pick, was Judas and the Black Messiah. Guys, what do we have to think about Best Picture now after the results?
I think you had astutely pointed out, like in the run up to it, that Nomadland was just cleaning up at the other award shows.
Yeah, that was only a fact. So
yeah, that was only what happened.
Yeah.
And it stands to reason they crowned a second female best director after Kristen Bigelow. I mean that was the tenor of the night.
Catherine
Gosh,
Bigelow,
I gotta say,
you're a misogynist. Boom.
I know. Did it seem weird that the director award came so early that evening?
Not only did the director award come so early that evening, Best Picture was third from the top as opposed to the closer.
There was 20 minutes left when they threw out Best Picture, and it felt weird.
Weird. So I've heard it alleged that everybody on the production for the Academy Awards, the 93rd Academy Awards, knew that Chadwick Boseman was going to win Best Actor, and they were going to close the show out with this quote-unquote celebration. And instead what happened is, as I did mention, they were not allowing anyone to come in over Zoom, which is weird because they actually had several international locations. So anyway, Anthony Hopkins somehow didn't get a camera crew to his house or even just a Zoom account. And
he was asleep, allegedly.
In Wales, England, he just slept through the night and then woke up like, oh, well, that's nice. Can you pass the sugar, please?
He's old enough that he's accomplished enough where, like, I don't care. He's just living his best life over there. Just let him do his old guy thing. What is he, 80? God, 84 or something? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, of course he's going to be asleep on the other side of the world at this time. But you got to
stay awake. They were like, yeah, you can't come in over Zoom. But again, it was like Australia, Germany, Iceland. Like there were multiple locations. Korea,
right? But
okay, in Korea.
I know, but yeah, Australia and Korea, like it's the next day there. It's early. The sun's up. The old man, like it's the middle of the night at that time over there. Like,
yeah.
How can't you tip your hand? Come on, TD Pricewaterhouse. Like, you're going to give us this, like it's already different enough. And you're going to make the ending of the show like just this nothing where it's like, here's a still picture. And Joaquin Phoenix didn't want to be out there at all, and it just sort of ends. And you're like, what was that? What was that?
Only the Price is Right fail horn would have been more appropriate. Just
yeah. I mean, I was surprised. It's like, okay, they didn't, but then they didn't have a contingency for like, yeah, he's not here. Anyway, good night. Like, what did I miss it? What was that? That felt odd.
Pre-COVID, we've actually had incidents where someone couldn't make it, and it goes one way where they go, we will gladly accept the Oscar in his name, which they did that night, or they actually throw to a video. It's pre-recorded. It was done 3 days ago. They just went like, yeah, you won. Don't worry about it. Don't tell nobody. And that's always been a thing. But for whatever reason, they just went, here's Anthony Hopkins' headshot. Good night, everybody. Drew, thoughts on this?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't make it that far into the evening. I'm a huge Oscar person. I possibly think that maybe somebody on Anthony Hopkins' team was like telling him, "Don't worry about it." like I think everybody was thinking Chadwick Boseman was going to get it, including myself. I thought he was going to get it. First of all, fantastic performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Okay.
So I thought, yeah, and again, I haven't seen The Father, so to me, he was clearly the winner in my mind, but maybe somebody told him like, don't worry about it. Go to sleep. You'll be good. You'll still be here in the morning. And then he he wasn't there.
Drew, how are things at home with the family, the mom and dad specifically? Just asking to ask.
They're good.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, don't, if you haven't seen The Father by now, don't, because it's just going to like bring up a bunch of like feelings that haven't come up yet. And just this like,
so
I think out of all 8 films, I cried at like 7 of them, but The Father is just like the entire time, just like
I heard it's very, very heavy.
Yeah, I had
in fact, I could make an argument for it being one of the best directed movies.
Yeah.
Of all the best pictures, like I had a hard time this year going like, I don't know which one this should be. Having Nomadland come out as the best picture, I was like, well, it's got all the same backdrops that Minari has. You could literally like just take Frances McDormand out, and I wouldn't know what movie I was watching. Just don't show me any characters, and that's where I would be. But like in The Father, like Anthony Hopkins is literally just in a 90-minute fever dream. So like he's in one room, he'll go into another room, but then he'll return back to the other room, and it's just completely different now. Like he doesn't know where he is.
Well, it's completely different, but at the same time, I give them a lot of credit for
it's subtle. It's subtle, but
yeah, the subtlety of it is like it's jarring and upsetting for somebody that's like paying attention for continuity and sort of like context. And you're like, what just changed? And there are other like less talented people with less restraint that would just make it like would change things mid-scene and make it crazier and louder. This was just disturbing on a commonality level, and it was so cleverly put together that way. So yeah, I mean, it paints a really good picture because I live with somebody with dementia, and it's just sort of like, oh yeah, no, I recognize like pieces inside that performance of like they do exactly that. So yeah, fantastic top to bottom there. And yeah, I can't argue with him getting the best picture part. This is more on the side of the Oscars of like, it's so weird that because this was a weird year anyway, that it would come together like this.
At one point I got to the bottom of my list of stuff I need to see. So I gave it to Kai, and I was like, Kai, I've got The Father and I've got Nomadland left. Like, pick for me, dude. I don't know which one to watch. Like, I don't have a preference. And he's like, well, one is about blah, 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 and the other one is about blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know what, man? Both of those are a stone's throw away from me in real life. So please just pick for me. And
I think I said like, yeah, one's a bummer about this, if you want to feel bad about mental health. Another's a bummer about the forgotten elderly in our country that we've moved beyond. He's like, fuck, man.
And I think I kind of wish I had closed the evening out with Nomadland, because The Father was just like, oh my god, like just trying to go to bed at 2 a.m. They're just like, I want to hug my mom right now. Like,
oh my god. Oh, I have to say another angle in this was I was a little surprised. Did the Trial of Chicago 7, did that win anything?
No, it did not.
No.
That one was.
I found it the most entertaining of the 8.
I'll give it the most like. Listen, I watched it with my wife, who was angry at the judge in it the entire time and advocated for his death, even though he was already dead. It was the most sort of like educational. I got some of the biggest laughs out of any of the movies that I had seen this year out of it. But no, that was the ability for Aaron Sorkin to make sort of like, well, this happened historically, but like, let's make it interesting. Let's kind of put these things together. Like, it's not easy to do that. Like, he did a great job of wrangling all those things together.
You know what? I'll say Molly's Game was better than the Trial of the Chicago 7.
That's rough. I didn't like Molly's Game that much.
Really? Oh, shit.
Molly's Game was like, it's like, you're arresting this poor girl and you got all these assholes around her. That's awesome. That is great.
I think the Trial of the Chicago 7 was the most popcorn film out of the Oscar nominated.
Yes.
Other Best Picture nominated. I think out of all of them, I was more apt to watch that one because I like A Few Good Men, and it's had that kind of vibe to it a little bit more than, say, like The Sound of Metal or The Mank, which are like, they're definitely more like heavier on their subject matter, where I think the Trial of Chicago 7 had a little bit more audience vibe to it.
Dig. Well, I gotta say, Kush just used the phrase that I was hanging on another movie, the most entertaining. To me, the most fun like ride that I went on of all of the Best Pictures was Promising Young Woman. I thought that was a fun, stylized, like, well, this is like, we're looking at a comic, like a DC concept comic book of a fantasy revenge tale. And it's told in such a different way. And the director's so good. And if you just sort of accept the premise where it's like, it's a revenge tale, but it's not, Bruce Willis beating people up because they assaulted his daughter. It's a different kind of psychological quest. That one was the most interesting and like, whoa, where are we going with that? Like, I really like that one.
Drew, what'd you think of the PYW?
I love Promising Young Woman.
Really?
I had a certain point in the movie when I was watching it going, this is Oscar nominated, because it just doesn't feel as like Oscar-y of a movie. Like when you watch like The Mank, I mean, that was like made for the Oscars. Like you make that movie to be like, it's prestigious. We know Hollywood background and stuff. It's the same with like La La Land and and even The Trial of Chicago 7. It has that air of like Oscar. Promising Young Woman was just a fun ride, and it's like one of those movies I think would be like an indie darling that you would find and you'd be like, hey, check this out, have you heard about this movie? And then you would like want to watch it with your friends and like show it off to everybody. So I was pleasantly surprised that it was Oscar nominated. I'm happy it was, but yeah, it was one of those times where I was like, this is Oscar nominated. It has Bo Burnham in it.
Yeah. I don't think I really, it seemed weird that it landed in Best Picture, because it's like, for the same reason that I think I will be talking about that Pretty Promising Young Woman for more years to come, is because it's such a specific kind of tale. I think I'll be talking about it. I'll have a different life. It's not necessarily like making these big statements or swings or anything artistic necessarily, but it's so specific that you're like, oh, a revenge tale. Let me tell you, you know what's interesting? It's like this. And it definitely earned something in that category. But yeah, I agree. It's like, yeah, it's neat that it's here, and maybe it's only there because, you know, it's a different list of Oscars that we would have had, granted that other things were pushed back, but no, I'm glad. What was it? Did she get it for original screenplay or? Yeah, that was neat. That was interesting. I was surprised at that too.
Original screenplay, Promising Young Woman. That's
impressive.
She was also a Best Directed nominee as well. And I would actually make an argument for this being one of the best directed movies of those 8. Okay, again, Nomadland is just a lot of like, all right, views and vistas, and all right, but now we're in a garage, or now we're in an Amazon plant. Promising Young Woman actually has a lot of well thought out shots and framing, and just the way the camera moves and how characters are displayed. I definitely didn't have as much fun in this movie as you two did. I think I was sold a different movie, and what I saw was very disappointing. However, having said that, like, me and Kai talked about this fucking movie for like 2 hours the other night. Like, of all the 8 movies that we were trying
that warrants mentioning, that we're like, we talked about it. We're like, what am I playing smart?
Like, we went back and forth just over and over again. So and again, of the 8, to this day, I'm still thinking about shit, and I'm just like, that third act just falls apart because of A, B, and C. But like all these, like there's so much good in this movie. Like I get why people like it, but at the same time, it's just like something, that ending is not happening, and all these other things should be a factor because of it. But Minari, what do you guys? Did you end up seeing that? No, you didn't. Did you, Drew?
I did not see it. I wanted to see it. Out of all the movies, I wanted to see that one specifically, but I just didn't get around to it.
Delightful goddamn movie, honestly. That Kai, I think, will agree with me. This is the American struggle. It's the American dream, the American nightmare. Like, this is the movie that people should watch. If you're pro America, rah rah rah, like, this is it for you.
I think the one sort of curious part about it was just the ending, in that there's a lack of an ending. It just sort of stops.
It just ends. Yes.
But I mean, the tale that they go on, they infer what happened because of the last act. But I mean, just the performances all around were so strong, and they relate such a tale about, like being in struggle and your parents being like possibly torn apart, and what it's like to be kind of the other. Yet they don't, I mean, I really give it props because they don't really lean on oh no, we're being marginalized because we're Asian, and like they I mean, it really goes a different direction from that. It's the sort of like, life is hard enough. Like they hint at it, but it's not a crutch for them. And Korean grandma, great in the movie, and then one of the best Oscar speeches too, where she takes her shot at Brad Pitt. That was great. Shoot your shot.
Brad Pitt is surprisingly an executive producer on Minari, which does not come to light till the very end. You're just like, what the fuck? How'd that happen?
There you go. Yeah, props to him.
So I liked Minari enough that when I'm reading the list, and I'm terrible about names and faces and all that shit, but when I read Jung Young is the best supporting actress from Minari. I thought it was the wife originally, so that was who I picked, and I was like, yeah, she gives a hard ass performance.
Because all those names sound alike, don't they?
Oh, that's fair. But when I saw his grandma that one, I was just like, yay! I wish she was my grandma.
She was fantastic.
Grandma.
And yeah, she's been acting for 40 years. I mean, wow, that was something. Hey, I gotta ask you guys. Okay, we all know that Glenn Close's bit with Rel was staged.
I went out for a smoke during all that.
But wait, Drew, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I definitely know what you're talking about.
Okay. That where she just names who wrote the butt, where it came from, and then she performs the dance. I still give her full credit for being game to do that on the broadcast, where she got up and danced, despite it being the most cooked thing. You're like, this is no, that's not. Yeah, it's like a bad America's Funniest Home Videos thing, where you're like, no, that was staged. I can see
even
you.
on recaps of that video. She surprisingly knows a lot about the butt.
The butt. Yeah.
The butt. Excuse me. The butt.
It's getting silly here where we're teasing Glenn Close because I did not see a Hillbilly Elegy, but I think like the three other people that did see it were like, I don't know where they're going with this one.
Say I listened to a podcast that recapped it and they talked about it, and I just realized that it was not the movie for me. They were like, it's not that great. If you know about the book, they took out all the like important stuff of the book and kind of just like do a slice of life kind of thing instead of actually pushing what the book was trying to push.
Oh no!
Which all the political stuff, they just decided to take all that out and was like, what if we just talked about this guy's life? How about that? It's like it doesn't come off very well.
That's right. I heard roughly the same thing where it's like, well, they're not going to delve into any issues. They're just sort of a lifestyle pastiche. And you're like, well, then what's it about?
Yeah. And then it was posed as an Oscar movie, but then it just fell off the cliff of the earth at one point. And it like, did it come out too soon? Did it come out too early? Did everything just like start burying it? And that's what I think. I think they were like, well, let's just throw it out now, see what people say, see if it's going to get cooking. And then it just did not pick up at all. And these other movies like Sound of Metal, Nomadland, and Mank just like really outshined it. And it just stood no shot.
Yeah. I sat out the Hillbilly Elegy. That was just one. I don't know what an elegy is. And two, Hillbilly, you lost me there. But I think that's a curse of Netflix. Again, it's just, they promote what exactly they want and everything else they don't give a shit about. It's just like, we just put it out there. It's fine. And
there's so many options too, because even if you put a movie out there like The Mank, it's still it's already putting it out there full of competition. Like you're just dropping it in a drop of water in an ocean already. So I mean, if it doesn't catch your eye right away, you have like 80 other things in that line that you could just go flip, and then it's just off your screen forever. And I think that's what a lot of people did. It gives you the ability to go watch it, but in that split second of making a decision, you go, maybe something else will pop up. And then boom, it's out of your mind and out of your way forever because they have 6 other things popping up in that line and it just gets pushed to the end.
Mank had to get a nomination for the Academy Awards for me to know that it existed. I didn't know it was a thing prior to anything. And again, that's Netflix just not doing anything that unless they want to do something. And it's very strange. Sound of Metal, I think, might be my favorite, maybe next to Minari out of the 8 that we had. But nothing outside of Best Sound, which you would think would be just a gimme. What happened with that? Why didn't it do better? Why maybe it shouldn't have been nominated at all?
My thing for Sound of Metal was like I like this. I really like the story. I loved, oh man, just seeing Riz with those kids, just like teaching them how to drum. Like that was so good. I still want to learn American Sign Language. I'd love to come around to that. And then just, they needed to go there to make it like super heartbreaking when he made the decision to get the cochlear implants. And then what's his face, who was nominated for Best Supporting? Good go on him. The Vietnam vet guy that was running the recovery house.
Yes.
But just that distinction about like, this isn't something that we choose to get better from. This is our life. And so his choice to go back into it, like, I like that. I mean, it makes sense narratively, but then the movie just, I don't know. It feels like it stalls out and just like, yeah, no, you made the wrong choice and maybe you'll learn from it. Oh, he does. It just, I don't know. It lost, like it's missing a couple of pieces in there. I don't know. It didn't connect through that home stretch for me.
Drew, what about you?
I apologize because I just had a thought and I didn't do any research in it because I didn't think about it. But does Prime have any Oscar nominated or has done well in the Oscars before? Because I feel like Prime originals, maybe they just haven't been in the game as long and they don't know like maybe how to pull in the movies or anything like that. Because I feel like Netflix has gotten their feet wet before with Roma, and then now it's kind of like they're kind of cooking and knowing what to look for. I feel like The Sound of Metal has a really good storyline and definitely has that Oscar feel, but I don't know if like Prime has been in the game long enough or have been like in the searching for the Oscar movies to really know how to push their movie and how to like elevate it up to get more eyes on it. Also, Prime, I don't think a lot of people know that they can watch Prime Video with their Prime accounts. Like I had to tell my mom that, hey, we can watch movies, right? We got Prime. And she's like, yeah, we got Prime. We can watch movies. And I'm like, we can. Why haven't we been doing this? So it's just like, so to me, it's like, maybe not everybody is like looking at Prime. Also, their search base, their format and their layout is just really hard to use sometimes. They just like, when you click on horror categories, it's just like, here's all the horror movies. Yeah. Hopefully you find something good. It's like, what is this? Can you like categorize the categories? And they're like, no, you said horror movies. Here's everything. We got it. Like,
yeah, the interface there, it's not curated the best. It's trouble. Well, Amazon, didn't they produce? Wait, hold on. Manchester by the Sea, they were involved in.
Oh, that's true.
And then The Salesman, which was foreign film, but not a ton.
I don't think they've been getting the same attention that a Netflix has been getting in the past 5 years. But I think they have the same problem Netflix has, where they're not advertising their movies. They're just like, this is here, watch it or don't. It's now it exists forever.
I'm also excited because with COVID, they're primed. Amazon and Netflix, they're primed to take over a major theater chain.
Yeah.
I know that was a thing Netflix was trying, or no, Prime was trying to do that. Amazon was trying to do that prior to COVID. And that didn't come out yet.
Still could come to pass. Gosh, I didn't mind that they put the musical performances in the pre-show. I mean, I could have used one song. Like after it won, like then perform it. That would feel different, right? Mm-hmm. But there were no,
It was fine again. It was that scaled back show. I was surprised by it. In fact, I told you about it, Kai. I was like, oh, they did all that shit prior to everything. Of the 3 performances they had, 2 they just had in Hollywood, but then they went out to Iceland. So it was literally 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. at night when they're singing the song from the Eurovision soundtrack, and it's
that was fantastic that snuck in there. That was amazing.
Yeah, it's not a bad song, but yes, I think in a normal year that would have probably been overlooked by a lot.
Yes,
the woman who did the performance, who sings the real song, she's super stoked. So her YouTube channel's just been like behind the scenes all week, just like, here's me flying there, here's me prepping for it, here's the performance, and that at one point, whoever's doing the cell phone camera is shaking, and at first I'm angry, but I'm like, oh no, they're in fucking Iceland. It's 10 o'clock at night and they're cold as shit. So they're trying to hold still, but they're literally just shaking because they are just freezing to death out there. And then you like, wow, they put out a dozen 10-year-old girls out there just to freeze to death, like for this one special moment.
Oh, one thing that kind of bumped me, which was Okay, look, I know you're not going to have the big grandeur of being in like the Kodak Theater or wherever, and we can't have a lot of folks together. It's going to be different. This is going to change. We don't have a host. But one thing we could keep continuity on, because we still have editors that can live indoors, was could we keep the Reels packages a little bit for the movies? Like before, when they just had just a little bit of a sting of like, hey, here are the actors acting in the category, completely removed. It was replaced with people's sentiments about seeing Fellini with their mother, which was like fine, but I don't know. I could have gone for that. And especially like, look, I know it's not going to sway people or whatever that are watching it about like, oh yeah, look, I see them in this clip and now I agree. It's those moments where it's like they're showing it and then you get the reaction of Amanda Seyfried reacting to them, like acknowledging it. You know what I mean? Like you get something because you have all these stars and it's like, get the reflected reaction in there. And they just didn't go for it. Soderbergh was like, we're not doing that at all. We'll have a couple, but we're not doing that.
I think that's the trade-off this year. Again, we didn't get to see little stinger clips, and this was the reel we sent in to get the nomination. But then we got Daniel Kaluuya had no time limit on his speech, so he said "man" 50 times over the whole thing, which is like, "Man, this is great," and "Man, my mom and my dad had sex, yo," and "Man," and "Man." Which they would absolutely would have cut any other year. They're just like, you got 3 minutes, do your thing, and then we're playing you off. If you're not the best picture, not best director, that's it.
They let people roll. Wait, Drew, did you hear Harrison Ford's speech?
Ooh. No, I didn't.
Oh, let me recreate it for you. Well, I was in a movie, Blade Runner. He was tapping the paper on his mic. God, I hope he had somebody in his ear going, baby, just put it away. Just put it away. Just put it away.
It's Harrison Ford. He doesn't care.
He's like, I'm done. he slammed. Yeah, he had a couple of edibles and then slammed a J just before he walked out there, as it should be. All right, he can do whatever. He can crash a plane on a golf course. I wouldn't even care if that happened. What? Oh.
I'm okay with him slamming a J and taking some edibles, but like the evidence of his mortality now grasping stronger on him is just, that bummed me out a little bit. It's just like, oh, Han Solo, what happened to you? You got Indiana Jones 5 coming out.
There's another Indiana Jones coming for some reason.
Guys, anything else we want to add to this? Like, again, we had multiple locations. It was just a different year. It only went 15 minutes over, despite how long all the acceptance speeches went. But again, we had musical numbers in the beginning. Final thoughts, Drew.
I thought it was fine for what it was. I'm not a huge fan of these award shows, anyways. I'm more of a fan of like seeing the list of what won, because I just think it's so grandeur throughout the whole thing. Like this is like on the road to the Oscars. There's already like 15,000 other awards that have been handed out. So, I mean, it's like, how many more awards do you want? Please. I thought your movie was fine. Like I saw it on Netflix. I had a subscription. Thank you, but go ahead. But I thought it was fine. I thought it was, again, decent for what we are and what awards shows have become because of the climate that we're in. But
anything you think was absolutely incorrect? So-and-so should have won this over X.
I could say that for a lot of these movies, but I could see like why something won over something else. And I think this year they did much better in like spreading out the awards and the nominees and the nominations and all the different types of movies. Because even though Nomadland wasn't my favorite personally, and I'm not going to go rewatch it, I still see the merit in it, and I can see why it won. And why some of the other movies that I think could have won or should have done better, they didn't win because of something else. And I could see like the flaws and pros of everything. But to me, I thought they actually did a pretty decent job at like spreading the nominations this year compared to other years. In that way, it was better. But to me, it's still another awards show. And I'm in that I'm in that point of BoJack Horseman, like trying to get the Oscar for Secretariat. And so him going through that journey, I'm like, oh man, I'm hitting it at the right exact like zenith. I was like, oh yeah, that's how I'm feeling too, man.
We'll do a BoJack pod later. Yeah, I agree. For what they had, and it's a weird year. And then also they went into this looking at every other award show that was going on, every single other one was the lowest rated of like all time. So it's just sort of like it was already spoken for that it's going to be different. So they just tried something else, and it's like, fine, this would be the year to do it. And I'm still impressed with how many crews they had worldwide doing stuff, and how smooth that went, which is like, that's just the technical capability is just mind-boggling when it's like, all right, cut to Australia. Now we're over here in the UK. Do this, count them in. And then it took me a second to realize, like, oh, that's a whole studio. There's a whole theater that's the BAFTA right there that they're doing remotely. I mean, I don't think anybody, I agree. It's like, I can see the reasons why everybody would arguably won. Like, it doesn't feel necessarily like anybody was stolen. I mean, it was just emotionally that you'd be like, really, Hopkins? You're like, well, but he was really good. So I can't really argue. Other takeaways is that like now Frances McDormand with 3 Best Actresses, like she's up there like in Katharine Hepburn, Meryl Streep territory. She's
past Meryl Streep now.
Because Streep's got 2 best actors, and then one of them supporting. So it's like, she's rarefied air up there. Gosh. Yeah, except for that ending. And then I'm still surprised where it felt like they stripped so much out of it, and there was only like one comedy bit in the audience, that it was still like 3+ hours. Like, I didn't know how they did that. Like, what's going on? How do you still get over 3 hours with this?
At one point they announced, like, don't worry, everybody, we are still running on time. And it was like, how are you doing that?
Why are you jinxing yourself? Like, what is it? Somebody knocking on wood? What are you doing?
My biggest complaint was, I don't know necessarily that Nomadland should have won. However, I have a hard time arguing which should have been the best picture. And I always have one of these things where it's like, well, if that isn't wrong, this should have won, or this was snubbed entirely. And I didn't have that this year. I was just like, Jesus, I don't know which one. I don't know. Again, this was great. This was the most entertaining. This made me feel the saddest. This one made me think the most. Blah, blah, just we went through all that. I was super impressed again with all the locations that they did do, that somehow they couldn't get Anthony Hopkins at 2 a.m. or just get him ahead of time. I think the most complicated edit they had was during the sound edit presentation, where it's literally just the cameraman has to go here. He has to then focus there. Oh, but he has to go over here now. And then he has to focus on a photograph of someone who couldn't actually make it. But like whoever's in his ear, like he's given the best direction, and that guy has taken the best direction. That was one of the most fascinating things I found of the night.
I just want to say that hearing that Frances McDormand got 3 Best Actresses award and Meryl Streep only has 2, I think Meryl Streep needs to pull out that poop bucket. I mean, I think that's what's really holding her back. I mean,
she needs to go on Amazon and get a Fern branded poop bucket.
Only Katharine
Hepburn.
Katharine Hepburn has 4.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson, Daniel Day-Lewis have 3 pure best ones. Ingrid Bergman has 2 plus the best supporting. There you go. Guys, and also Walter Brennan. I'll give you $1,000 if you can guess any one of the movies that he won for. Good times. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. That was Come and Get It, 1936, Best Supporting. The Kentucky, 1938, and The Westerner, 1940. Very specific.
Wow.
Westerns, I believe.
Drew, any movies, real quickly, any movies you're looking forward to in the actual theater that you may be able to visit in your time?
Not at the moment. I mean, I haven't really looked at my my movies. I really liked how I used to go to movies where it was like 2 p.m. or 12 p.m. on a Wednesday when nobody was around. Maybe hit up an IMAX because nobody wants to go actually there to watch it. But no, and normally when I go to the AMC, I get really sad because it's just like more older movies that I already own or are on streaming networks that I already have a subscription to, and they're always at like 5 and 7 p.m. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to go there to see Nightmare Before Christmas for $5 on a Wednesday at 7 p.m.
In February.
Oh. But there is a lot coming to like HBO Max, and Netflix is really pushing pulling out a lot of new movies coming out very soon. So I'm looking out for those, especially for when we're doing them on the podcast. And I just watched Mortal Kombat, and that was at least a trip. That was fun to watch.
What'd you think of Mortal Kombat?
I mean, I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was fun. I mean, some things just did not make sense. Like us following a whole new character that has never been on a Mortal Kombat before. It's like, why not like hang out with somebody that we already know, like the 36 other characters that are in the games, and they're like, no. We got it. We're gonna make a whole new character.
Young's the dude. Don't worry.
So
you're gonna love them.
So how was the tournament named Mortal Kombat? Did the tournament go down?
Well, Kai, you remember the video game where you played before the tournament? You spent $60 on this game to play the game before the tournament, and then Mortal Kombat 2 is when you get to the tournament.
Oh boy,
that's what this felt like.
So you're saying there's no tournament in this, which is what Mortal Kombat.
There's a lot of fighting, but there's no Mortal Kombat in Mortal Kombat.
So they shouldn't have called it Mortal Kombat. They should have called it pre-Mortal Kombat. Gotcha.
I mean, they could have called it anything. Like, this was Drew. I'm sorry to tell you, this was the most boring movie featuring martial arts that I've ever faced. Like. I mean, like it's 1 a.m. for me. It's 1:30 when I watched this, but I was just like, holy like I hear a lot of people complaining about the editing, and I was like, I know I'm following everything, but
I got it.
God damn, is this unentertaining? Like,
I will say that I don't disagree with you. I mean, there's a lot of choices that were made in that movie where I was like, would I have done that? No, I wouldn't have. Why are we doing this?
Why is Goro hiding in a barn in South Dakota? Okay, no.
I actually watched the 95 version for the first time all the way through.
Either. I was 17, loved the shit out of it when I was 17. At 42, I couldn't give a shit. It's only nostalgia for me. But
yeah,
I'll be honest. I watched it and I went, "This is kind of what I was expecting the Mortal Kombat movie to be, except with better CGI." I would have much rather enjoyed this just being better in the storyline and
that might have blown my mind. Yeah, it might have blown my mind back then. But now, here we go.
Yeah. But I am looking forward to a Netflix movie called The Woman in the Window with Amy Adams, Gary Oldman, and Anthony Mackie, and Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, which is coming out. So I'm very excited for those two specific, along with Space Jam and like the new Conjuring movie, because I'm a huge horror fan.
Wait, what series about Space Jam are you excited about?
Yeah, great question.
Just because it's new, and we're
love that.
And if it is terrible, then I know we're gonna watch it for the Movie Minds podcast, and we're just gonna roast it. And we had the best time. One of my favorite episodes we have ever recorded was when we watched Artemis Fowl. That was so much fun, and it made me watching that movie twice worth it because it was just really, really bad.
How did you feel about Ready Player One?
I hated it.
Oh, you're not going to like this then.
It was not good.
This is the same movie. It's just it's only HBO characters or WB characters.
Oh yeah. I paused that trailer looking at all the background characters when they're about to play, and you see the Joker next to Pennywise I was like, what is happening?
There's a couple Jokers hanging out in that trailer. Actually, it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
I'm still curious at the backstory because Bugs Bunny was canceled and they have to revive him. So I'm curious what happened in that storyline.
What was Bugs Bunny canceled for?
We don't know. That's what they say. They have to revive his image because he's been banished. That's in the press release of what happened to Bugs.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
Look, he was pretty violent back in the day, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that, I don't know, some transphobia. Who knows? We'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Kai, when are you hoping to take the family to a movie theater next time?
Oh well,
and you're in a different situation than the two of us. You got a family, wife and kids.
For sure, but the lady and I are getting our second vaccination May 6th, I believe.
Sweet.
And the Regal theaters are opening back up, and our unlimited unlimited pass was paused from last year, and it's resuming in about a week. So we're going to get to go back. So that's fun.
What are you going to see?
I don't know. I am unaware of what is coming out at all whatsoever.
That's fair. That's fair. I told you guys off air, I'm getting ready to see Wrath of Man next week. I've already got my first vax, so I feel comfortable enough doing that. Next vax comes later in May, but I am looking forward to Fast and Furious 9. I cannot wait to do that.
We've been deprived of that one. That should have been out.
Like it's 13 months now. Like I've been going through the shivers. I keep watching Fast and Furious 6 upside down, doing a handstand, but it's not the same. So we'll make it work. It'll be fine. But Wrath of Man next week. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Is that the Statham one?
That is the Statham one. Yes. Good
stuff. Oh, Scott Eastwood's in it. Good times.
Guy Ritchie though. It's a Guy Ritchie film.
Fantastic. And Post Malone. Cool.
He's been sneaking in these big budget movies lately. It's clearly the face tats. And,
Drew,
and then we did see him again.
If you shaved it back and took a Bic to your face, you could pull off a Post Malone, I think.
I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or not.
I think I'm just saying versatility wise, like that's an option for you. Look.
Okay.
You could talk your way.
Everybody loves options.
I mean, do you have the template though to like do the rub-on tattoos on the face? Though
you're in Tampa. You could talk your way into like any club. I think. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, just get a little posse together. Look, I'm just saying, if you need to, it's good to have options.
Adios, mio. Drew, we got you for the Movie Minds podcast that comes out once a week. You've got your MTV The Challenge recap on Angelcake Entertainment. Is there anything else you'd like to plug tonight?
No. I think that's two things that I'm willing to plug in a two-prong outlet for right now.
Where can the kids find you on social media?
I'm at Drew Angelman on all social media platforms, mainly Twitter and Instagram.
Outstanding.
I followed you during the show.
Oh, thank you. I'll follow you back.
Kai, what do you got coming out?
I'm looking forward to hanging with the homeboys. Maybe not my favorite movie, but listen, I love me some 90s New York and some Leguizamo. A good hang for everybody. Check out kushandkai.com and Naga Kai on the Twitters. Kush, what's good with you?
We just released Blood Fist Part 3 on the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast the other day. Me and director Len Kabaczynski were talking Don the Dragon Wilson's prison combat movie, not to be mistaken with Bloodsport 3, also a prison combat movie. Otherwise, this has been a great time. Thank you for living in the fallout of the 93rd Academy Awards. I can't wait to do this again next year. Well, for Drew Angelman, I've been Kush Hayes.
I've been Kai.
You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the Bosnet family.
Debut.
The butt.